Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem El Shai, Bashem Rakakwadash, Shalom to the 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there, Shalom to you all. And I'm going to entitle this video, Comparing Trump to Nero. Is Trump Nero in a previous life? And I'm going to attempt to go into a full chapter breakdown, which is the book of Micah, chapter 4. So I went to the chat GPT. I typed in, is Trump Nero in a previous life? So and I've been saying it, you heard it first from me, and GMS says it too, that Trump, I said it when in his first, the first when he was 45, president number 45. He's now president number 47. So you got a Trump 45 and a Trump 47. 47 president. And when he was 45, I called him. I said, "Yeah, this guy's Nero," and he was a nice guy compared to now. He showed his two. Revelation came up as a lamb and spake as a dragon, and he's definitely speaking like a dragon. He just anyway, just watch him on the news. It's going to be something controversial. Anyway, and he's coming against the tribes. He called getting the Venezuelans out of there, then the Mexicans, then the Haitians, now the African Americans. They're not real citizens. So the people that he's coming after are Israelites. Whether they know, whether the elite told them that they were the Israelites, and you got to upset the prophecy by splitting them up, I don't know. So anyway, is Trump Nero in a previous life? In chat, there's no historical or factual basis to say that Donald Trump was Nero. Of course not. In a previous life, it said the idea of reincarnation, which is biblical, and not one Christian will accept that. Not one Christian will accept reincarnation as a biblical concept. It says especially specific identifications like this is speculative and not supported by evidence. However, like evidence means receipts. I don't have a receipt, I went back, I jumped in a time machine and I met Nero and I checked him out, and that's definitely Trump, or whatever the case may be. So we don't have receipts on it that he's actually him, but through the spirit, that's him. Everything is reincarnated. He's that cruel Lord. And they're going to mention in the chat that Nero is a cruel Lord. It says it's a common metaphor or rhetorical device to compare public figures across history based on behavior or reputation. Oh no, yes you can. He does the same things that this guy did, Nero did. Why do some people make the Trump-Nero comparison? So I'm not the only one that makes this comparison. There's other people that make this comparison. It says, and you're going to find out in the Google, it says it's usually symbolic, not literal. Critics of Trump might invoke Nero for dramatic effect because Nero is remembered, fairly or unfairly, as a self-indulgent, erratic ruler, whose actions contributed to Rome's instability. Remember, when you go into the history of the Roman Empire during the time of Nero. That's when people were saying this is the end of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire is dying. Especially the fact that after Nero committed suicide, you had what was called the year of the four emperors, where you had not necessarily in this order, Vitalis, Otho, Galba, and Vespasian. Otho, Galba, and not Vespasian, but Vitalis, they were all taken out. Vitalis was taken out. He had his war. He had a war against the fighting men of Vespasian, and he lost that war. And I believe he got killed in battle. Then you had one. I believe it was the second one. You know what I'm gonna do? Let me do this. Let me do this right here. Give me a second. Oh, yeah, this is a good video to watch. Yeah, and I did a short kind of a response to this video. You know, his actions is that of Nero. Okay, let me see, where did I say I was gonna go? Matter of fact, let me do this. Let me just come back over here. Oh yeah, it just came back. Forgive me. When your mind goes, your let's see this coming up. Your short-term memory goes. Okay, so now, okay. Year of the four emperors. Year of the four emperors. Let me do this again. Year of the four emperors. Year of the four emperors. The year of the four emperors refers to the tumultuous period in 69 AD, during which four different Roman emperors rose and fell. Well, three of them did, of the four, in rapid succession. Galba, he was killed, and they were saying by the hands of the order of Vespasian, which he was a general. Most of these, when you go into the history of the Roman Empire and the Caesars, the ones that got assassinated was normally at the hands of the military, the generals, or the Senate killed, stabbed up Julius Caesar. Otho committed suicide because he knew he was going to be taken out. Some scholars say he had a dream that he committed suicide, and he woke up, he committed suicide. And Vitalis went to war with Vespasian and his armies, and he got defeated, and he got killed. And Vespasian, he stayed in power. So this is when they were saying Rome, if you, look, you have four presidents back to back, guy becomes, he's the new president, whatever his name is, he gets assassinated. They get another new president, or get a vice president. He gets assassinated months later. You're going to start saying, no, the Most High ain't with this. That's what they were saying back there. Anyway, let's go to, should I go into Vespasian? He was a general that came up in the ranks. A lot of them were military men that came up in the ranks. that became politicians. Okay, so let's go into this here. Let me see. Okay, let me put in emperor. Get a little history on this. Vespasian was Roman emperor from 69 to 79. So his rule was like 9 years plus 10 years. And he survived it, you know. The last emperor to reign in the year of the 4 emperors. He founded the Flavian dynasty. The Colosseum was built by him. He gave the order to build a Colosseum. And that was the 70 AD was all about, they were taxing the hell out of the Israelites. It's like Trump, you're getting, these tariffs are nothing but a tax, which ruled the empire for 27 years. Yeah, because of him and his 2 sons. His fiscal reforms and consolidation of the empire brought political stability and a vast building program. And one of the things that he built was the Colosseum. So, I mean, these are all actual people that lived. And they all came back. But Jake took over after his second son, younger brother to Titus. That's when Jake took over. When Jake got in there, even during the time of the Western and the Western powers of Rome and the Eastern powers of Rome, you had the 4 military men, the 4 tetrarchs. 2 of them took the West and 2 of them took the East. The West fell, which were ruled by Jake. They were co-rulers. And the East, flourished, and later it became what's called scholars call the Byzantine Empire. So anyway, you know me, I like going to this history, and you got to link it to the scriptures. You know, that's why if you ask a Christian, what is the abomination that maketh desolate? What are they going to say? Oh, it's the Antichrist. Because they don't understand, they don't know the scriptures. A vocab doesn't know. When you go deep into these scriptures and the prophetic part of the scriptures, vocab gets lost. So I'm sorry, let's come on back. I don't want to make this long. So it says, why do some people make the Trump Nero comparison? It's usually symbolic, not literal. Critics of Trump might invoke Nero for dramatic effect because Nero is remembered fairly or unfairly as a self-indulgent, erratic ruler whose actions contributed to Rome's instability. Remember, he was there before the 4 emperors. So during the time of Nero, during the time of the 4 emperors, it was people were doubting whether Rome was gonna last as a kingdom. And Jake kept it going. Nerva, he was the first Jake, the Israelite, and I believe Galba or Arthur was a Jake too, because they was up in high office. It said Trump is seen by critics as similarly self-centered, polarizing, and prone to behavior they view as destabilizing to democratic norms, contributed to Rome's instability. Nero, remembered as a self-indulgent, he was about himself, erratic ruler whose actions contributed to Rome's instability. Trump is seen by critics as similarly self-centered, similar to Nero, polarizing, and prone to behavior they view as destabilizing to democratic norms. Because he's sitting there as a king. That's why we call him the king of Babylon. It says, but history is more nuanced. Nero's reign included both cruelty. Now we refer to, Isaiah 19. The cruel Lord is Trump, and he's showing it. He's just getting started. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. We're 6 months in. And what's next? It says Nero's reign included both cruelty and cultural patronage, meaning the culture is American culture. He's pushing that American culture. Make America great again. A year-long celebration of America, 250 years empire. Although they don't like to use that word. This is an empire. Trump's presidency, including policies and controversies, but whether they resemble Nero's excess, they do, as a matter of interpretation, not reincarnation. No, he is that person. If you're asking from a spiritual or philosophical angle, like karma or patterns repeating across time, we can explore that too. Just let us know. Now, did they use the word reincarnation? Because they don't believe in reincarnation. Give me a second. So reincarnation is right. There we go. There's no historical or factual basis to say that Donald Trump was Nero in a previous life. The idea of reincarnation, especially specific identifications like this, is speculative. Trump's presidency included policies and controversies, but whether they resemble Nero's excess is a matter of interpretation, not reincarnation. No, it's a matter of interpretation and reincarnation. So now let's come over here. I'm sorry, let me come on back. Come over here. Comparing Trump to Nero. This is a couple months ago. Trump is a modern Nero. Trump doesn't believe in democracy. Right? They asked him, how did he say? They asked him a question about, are you going to uphold the Constitution? This was some months after he became president. He didn't answer too much, and when he swore in, he didn't touch the Bible, which he's not supposed to anyway. Just in winning at all costs. Trump doesn't believe in democracy just in winning at all costs. He doesn't believe in limited government, but that's why he said he said Canada's the 51st state, and the president of Canada is really just a governor. Are we going to take, what did he say? Did he say Greenland? The Gulf of Mexico, we're going to call it the Gulf of America. So he's moving. It says, and the Most High is using him to speed things up. But in the triumph of his will, I'm not going to read the rest of this. Which Roman Empire was most likely Donald Trump? This is a couple of months ago. Like Trump, Nero could entertain the crowd, and that's what he is. He can talk for hours. He publicly sang and recited poetry, which previous emperors never did. The elites detested this. The elites detested it, so they hated him behind the scenes. The six startling similarities between Donald Trump and, let me open this up. This was 2 years ago. So this is before he became 47. The six startling similarities between Donald Trump and Roman Emperor Nero. That's supposed to be Rome. That's the D.C. burning, which Rome was a capital. D.C. is a capital now. This is Rome all over again. Take away the American flag. That's Roman architecture. Founders, forefathers said we want to build D.C. the capital. We're going to build it similar to Rome. Rome being the capital. They said when history repeats itself from ancient Rome to the White House. Now look at that. Got that orange, reddish hair. Okay, I'll read some of this. Former American president, yeah, because he was president 45 and he came back. They didn't think he was going to come back. He came back with a rape conviction, 34 felonies. He said he can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and the people will still love him. He said Donald Trump requires no introduction. Trump definitely left his mark on contemporary history. Oh well, he back then he was a nice guy, and the reason why he's in office is because the Most High put him in office. He's right about that. He said God, chose me. Right, he did chose you, just like he chose Esau to be on top. On the other hand, Roman Emperor Nero requires a bit of introduction unless you're a Roman history geek. Right. Got to know Roman history. I dabble in it. On one of the lasting myths about Nero is that he set Rome on fire and played the lyre. Right. They say fiddle, but it was a lyre, stringed instrument, while watching his capital burn down. And then when you go into the history, he blamed it on the Israelites. He gonna mention those Hebrew, those black Hebrew Israelites. We gotta get them too. We gotta send them out of here. It's not gonna be popular to be an Israelite, but I believe he's gonna push the mark of the beast. He'll be the president. I believe he's the last president, at the last Trump. There was an expression that Nero fiddled while Rome burned. The meaning of the expression is that Nero was an ineffectual leader in times of crisis. Right, they call him Taco. What is it? Taco is an acronym for what is it? Taco. Trump always chickens out. That's what they started saying. They call him Taco. Trump always chickening out. It says of the expression is that Nero was an ineffectual leader in times of crisis. When you have a lot of controversy against you, you go to war, which is a distraction. Who was the Roman emperor? Reigned 2,000 years, 54. I just want to get more into the comparisons of Trump. Okay, so let me read this here. You know what? In 64, 2/3 of Rome burned down in a 9-day long fire. Nero used the cleared land to build himself an enormous palace. He's a builder, right? Domos Aria. he blamed Christians or Israelites for the fire and started the first persecution against the Christians or the Israelites. He did it back then. You think he's not going to do it now? In 66 AD, a full-scale revolt occurred in Judea. He was focusing on the Israelites back there. Nero sent elderly Roman general Vespasian to crush the rebellion because he was taxing the hell out of them. The Roman siege of Jerusalem, the utter destruction. The Romans slaughtered everyone and razed the once mighty city to the ground, including the second temple. Right. That's in Luke 21. That's in the prophecies. So you know what? That's it. That's all I'm going to go into. Let me go into Micah, because I hit it yesterday. I wanted to go through it in the camp. I wanted to go to Isaiah 2, and we kind of hit a couple of precepts, but I want to attempt to, he's a cruel Lord. Okay, was that Micah? What did I say? Micah 4. So we're not going to be here for no 1,000 years. This is the generation. This generation shall not pass until all these things be fulfilled. You're talking about this generation. Okay, this is a short one. Good. Isaiah 2 pretty much says the same thing. Isaiah 2, 2-4. Peaceful latter days, that's the kingdom. So this is really getting ready to come to pass. But in the last days, it shall come to pass, we're in this time, that the mountain of the house of Yahweh, the kingdom of heaven, shall be established in the top of the mountain. The top of the mountain now is, America and the beast system. And it shall be exalted above the hills. The hills are talking about other nations, but they're going to be hills compared to us being a mountain. And people shall flow into it. They're going to be forced to flow into it. They're going to have to keep them laws. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the government of the Lord. So the riches of the forces of the Gentiles are going to come to us. And to the house of the Most High of Jacob. And he, or the Israelites, the men, because we're going to all be priests, not just the Levites. And he will, or they will teach us of his ways, or their ways, which is the Lord. We're going to put everything in order, and we will walk in his paths. In other words, you're going to keep them laws. For the law shall go forth. There it goes. For the law shall go forth of Zion. Apostle Paul said, which is a shadow of things to come. He said, don't let nobody judge you as far as meats and drinks in respect of a Sabbath day and the new moon and the Sabbath, which is a shadow of things to come. What do you meant by that? He said that's a shadow. You keep the laws to the best of your ability, which is a shadow of things to come. What's going to come is we're going to keep the laws perfectly. And the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. So this is talking about the kingdom. Third verse, and he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off. Because we're going to, the new rulers of the planet Earth will be the Israelites, starting with the elect. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. All the nations, they're going to beat their swords. They're going to beat their, take their farm weapons, excuse me, and they're going to turn it into farming tools. Now it says in Joel 3, which we went into, it says the exact opposite. It says take your farming tools and turn into weapons. Joel chapter 3. Now it's saying in Micah 4 verse 3, take your sword, your weapons, and put it into agriculture. So there's not going to be any more weapons. None of it. Esau's not going to have, Gog and Magog's not going to be hiding in some pit pursuant to Isaiah chapter 24, which Nate teaches. Nate really believes that we're going to be in the kingdom for 1,000 years, and the Edomites are going to come out with weapons and attack us. It said the weapons are going to be burnt up. What's that? Ezekiel 39. It said, nation shall not lift up sword against nation. Are the Edomites a nation? Yes. Are the Israelites a nation? Yes. So will any nation lift up their sword against any other nation in the kingdom? No, because we're going to be the enforcers in the kingdom. So once the kingdom comes, we're good forever. So when Nate teaches that, he makes shit up as he goes along. Neither shall they learn war anymore. There's not going to be no more wars. When the kingdom of heaven is established, there's not going to be no more wars, because we are going to be the rulers over the other nations. And if there is any type of situation, we're gonna stomp it out. The whole plan is going to be put back in order by the Israelites, the people of the Most High, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, meaning you're going to have your lands. Edomites going to have their land, Moab going to have their land. The only ones not going to have a land are the Edomites. That's in Amos. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree. The nation is going to be happy that we're ruling. And none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of Yahweh of hosts has spoken it. For all people will walk, everyone in the name of his God. That's not talking about you're going to have your own gods to worship. That's talking about you're going to have rulers over your nations, but they're going to come and bow unto us. In other words, they're going to give reports unto us. Like Esau allows these different nations to have their own people as presidents and so forth, but they're going to bow unto us. There's going to be order even among the nations. But it's all going to be focused on us and Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, of course. For all people will walk, everyone in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of Yahweh, our power, forever and ever. So if an Edomite prays to a God, he's going to pray to Yahweh. The Arabs are not going to pray to Allah. In that day, saith Yahweh, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out. That's the Israelites. And her that I have afflicted. The Most High afflicted the Israelites. And that's all of them. Don't listen to Nate. Oh, certain Israelites are going to burn in hell too. No, not one Israelite is going to burn in hell. Not one Edomite is going to burn in hell. You know why? Because there's no such thing as a eternal hell in the spiritual realm that you burn forever. That's some Roman Catholic nonsense. I'm almost finished. Stick with me, and I'm going to close. It says, and I will make her that halteth a remnant. A remnant means the remainder of something, because the Israelites that's going to be delivered are the elect, not all Israel. You're going to have any Israelite here in America, when the missiles hit and they're not an elect, they don't get beamed up, they're going to die here. They're going to burn up. They're going to die the same death as Esau and the other nations that are here. But what about the Israelites scattered around the world? They're still going to be alive, and we're going to go around the world, and we're going to put the whole planet Earth in order. And you're going to have Edomites and other nations that are going to fight us, and we're going to make them look like fools, jackasses. We're going to have fun beating their asses using spiritual power. And they're going to come to the realization that we can't deal with these people. These are the mighty people. That's in Isaiah. Is that Isaiah 45 and 13? Matter of fact, let me do this. Okay, give me a second here. Isaiah 45. I believe it's 13. Now the reason why I'm going through Micah 4, because when you go to the UN, the opposite side of the street of the UN, you have this plaque, big gigantic plaque, and it says the quote, Micah chapter 4. Matter of fact, let me do this. Give you the exact quote. Let me check this off. This is it right here. And you know when they put that placard up? In 1948. So they were telling you, oh, the fulfillment of the prophecy is here. The people of Israel is back in their land. Which, when you go to the Balfour Declaration, they had to create a nation of Israel. And they had to grab a bunch of people who said, well, where are we going to get the Jews from? The Europeans. We're going to grab these Europeans. We're going to tell them that they're Jews. Now, some of them kept the laws. So a lot of them didn't. So them being in the land, and that's a secular government, which is based upon Zionism. You got the what do you call them? The Orthodox, and I've spoke to many of them. Orthodox Jews up in Muncie, up in Harris, New York, down in Brooklyn, Eastern Parkway, because they go back and forth from Brooklyn. They'll go to Brooklyn, parts of Brooklyn where they have communities, and I've been through their communities in Brooklyn, Eastern Parkway, and upstate in Muncie, Harris. Harris is maybe an hour and a half from New York City, I would say. So they all live in the same. They all live. There's no Ephraimites or Puerto Ricans or blacks living in there. They all live. It's an open community, but they all live next to each other. And they got the temples, and it's written in Hebrew and stuff. And I used to talk to him, and I asked one of them, I said, why ain't you back in Israel? He pretty much said, that ain't the real Israel, man. That's Zionism. We said, we ain't Zionists. He said that's a secular government, man. He said in not so many words that 1948 was that has nothing to do with prophecy. This is what this guy said. So I said, well, you got some, what do you call it? Orthodox. And he said, well, there's two groups. You got the Lubavitcher and the Hasidim, which Hasidim goes back to the Maccabees. So they're saying they descended from the people that were back with the Maccabees. So he said, well, one group is over there because they believe that they should be there to welcome the Messiah for the first time. And he said, we're going to go back to the land after the Messiah comes back. So you got two of these groups that both of these different groups, the Lubavitcher and the Hasidim, and they wear all the black. And that's all they speak. And they're taught that they're Israelites from childhood. They're taught that they're Israelites, man. So they'll tell you in a minute. If the man's honest, he said, "Well, that's a secular government. That's not a fulfillment of any scripture. That's a secular government." He said the Messiah got to come back and establish that land. That's what they've been taught. To read about the Balfour Declaration. We're just giving you truth here. But nowadays, truth is not too popular. They hate you if you tell the truth. Your woman got a brand new dress. She said, "Do I look fat in this dress?" Be honest, and you say, "Yeah, you look fat." She gonna do everything, but she might cut you off. That nigga. You lie to a woman. Tell her what you want to hear. Be like a politician with a woman. Tell her what you want to hear. Anyway, let's come on back. We almost finished. Hang tight. 7th verse. "And I will make her that halteth a remnant, and her that was cast off, far off, a strong nation, which are the Israelites, and Yahweh shall reign over them." Yahweh B'Ashem Yahushua is going to be over us, and we're going to be over the other nations. "And Mount Zion is a people before it's a place." Zion goes back to the Hebrew word to Zion, which is a monument. "From henceforth, even forever." So that's the kingdom. Nobody's going to disrupt the kingdom. So go back to Revelation chapter 20, verse 7 and read that again, Bishop Nate. You got it all wrong. 8th verse. And thou, black, a guy named Black lied to you. "And thou, O tower of the flock, which are Israelites, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion." The daughter of Zion represents the Israelite men, women, and children. Now, if it said the daughters of Zion, it's talking about the women of Israel. But if it says the daughter of Zion, it's talking about the men, women, and the children. "Unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion," the kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem, which are the Israelites. So this is getting ready to happen. 9th verse. "Now why doest thou cry out aloud? Is there no king in thee?" We don't have a king right now. Oh, this is our king, Joe Bob the king, right? "Is thy counsel perished? For pains have taken thee as a woman in travail." Those pains are what we're going through, man. Hey, the northern kingdom is going through it right now. So Trump being in office, is the Most High is using him to push this thing. Everything is going to speed up, especially when they make that chip mandatory. A lot of you going to take it, and the end's going to come real quick. My opinion is in a couple of months, but then you're going to regret the fact that you took it, but you took it. So you're condemned. And you can't say you didn't know. If the Most High came to me, if the Most High sent prophets to tell me, guess what? The Most High did send the prophets. They're the men of GMS from the apostles on down. We are the supreme prophets of the Most High, because we got 100% truth. No other camp can say that. Not no other. Look, Hakar couldn't say that. He wouldn't dare frame that in his mouth. Hakar Hassad would never think about saying they got 100% truth, because they don't. It says, "Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion," which are the Israelites, "like a woman in travail. For now shalt thou go out of the city." That's Jerusalem. That's Palestine. "And thou shalt dwell in the field." That's Matthew, Luke. When you see the abomination that maketh desolate and freely into the mountains, that's what that's talking about. The abomination of desolation came into our city and took it over. So we had to flee the city. The ones that didn't flee got put to death. "And thou shalt go even to Babylon." This is talking about America. I'm going to look this up too in the commentary. there shalt thou be delivered. That's when the ships come and deliver us. That's when the missiles come. So this Babylon right here is not talking about ancient Babylon. It's talking about America. There Yahweh shall redeem thee, buy thee back from the land of thy enemies. We're in America, and the main places of America, that's why all the tribes are here. Trump is trying to push the tribes out to upset the prophecies, whether he knows it or not. Maybe they told him, we got to separate these tribes because when they come together, that's when we go down. So we got to separate them. 11th verse. Now also many nations are gathered against thee that say, let her be defiled, and let her eye look upon Zion. Now also many nations are gathered against thee, the Israelites, that say, let her be defiled. Go eat that pork, eat the pig, eat the pork, eat eat animals that died of itself, eat diseased animals defiled. What is that? Ezekiel 4. Our food. Matter of fact, I'll go to that right now. Ezekiel 4, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so bread is 7 times. Okay, defile bread. Ezekiel 4:9. There's a bread called Ezekiel 4:9 bread, which is you can eat that bread. It's what do you call it? It's non-GMO, organic, and it's sprouts. You know that bread, when you toast it, it'll cut up your gums. But they got a raisin bread. The raisin bread is good. Oh, raisin bread, brother. That's, man. Raisin bread with some toasted with some butter on it, bad boy. Oh my goodness. Anyway, it says, take you also unto the wheat and barley. Now I'm not gonna go read all into it, but it says you're gonna make this bread by millet, lentils, which is all good to you. It's all good to you, but you're gonna put man shit in it, number 2 in it. And Ezekiel protested against it. So the Lord said, okay, you're going to make that bread and you're going to put cow shit in there. Let me go to, and thy meat which thou shalt eat shall be weight in 20 minutes. Thou shalt drink also water by measure, the 6th part of a hand. Thou shalt eat it as barley cakes. Thou shalt. Now back then you can eat that bread. Today this bread you can't eat unless you go to like if you go to Italy or certain places, you can eat that bread. But the American bread, it's GMOs in it. And you get a bare belly, it's hard to get rid of that shit. You know, you go back to films in Harlem on YouTube, you say Harlem in 1932. Everybody in that film is skinny. Everybody's in that film is and I might even go to that. It's just so the food that we're eating, even though you going to the gym, you walking in the morning, you eating this, you cutting your calories, you cutting your carbs, and you still catching hell trying to lose that weight. Shall bake it because the food that we're eating is garbage. It's chemicals. They make this food to last for years. I don't know if you ever seen a commercial. Somebody buys a Big Mac and he stores it for a year, and a year later the Big Mac, it doesn't spoil or nothing because it's all chemicals. The food defiled among the Gentiles. It says, with the dung that cometh out of man and thy sight. So all these ingredients are good for you. The millet, the lentils, which are sprouts, those are superfoods. But he said you're going to put men's shit in there. You know, which means what? We eat healthy, but it's still garbage. It says, and the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles. So even if you eat, brother, I eat organic this and non-GMO that, guess what? You're still eating crap. You're still eating defiled food. Let me look up the word defiled, and I think that word is halal. You go to the Arab store and you get halal meat. Halal is a Hebrew word. Let's find out if I'm correct. Defiled. And the word is I went through this the other day. Tama'ah. Unclean, impure, ethically and religiously, ritually of places. Unclean, impure. Let me see something. Okay, there's I forget the word. Somebody help me out. But if you go to that word, is another word for defiled or polluted, which goes back to the Hebrew word halal. Like the Arabs, they got halal meat. That word means to defile. So now let's come back over here. It says, 11 verse, now also many nations are gathered against thee that say, let her be defiled. Eat this garbage. And let our eye look upon Zion, meaning we're looking, putting the prayers up for the Most High to come get us. When you go to Habakkuk 2, you got to read Habakkuk 1, because Habakkuk was complaining to the Most High about the condition that we was in. So the Lord said, you just got to wait. He said when you start seeing them prophecies, you know that it's close. 12th verse, we almost finished. Hang tight. It said, but they know not the thoughts of Yahweh, neither understand they his counsel. And that's talking about these Israelites that we talked. You got a lot. You need to stop speaking. I don't want to hear you talk about Israel. Well, don't walk on the other side of the street, because if you heard it, you don't got to hear it no more. For he shall gather them. Who is he going to gather? He's going to gather the elect, only the elect. Our job is to teach this word for the Most High, to tap into the third eye, tap into their pineal gland, tap into their spirit, and initiate them as being one of the elect. You can't make yourself the elect. That's why a lot of guys come in and a lot of guys fall out, because they were never of the elect. You got to be set up as one of the elect from the before the foundation of the earth. It said, for he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. Arise and trash, O daughter of Zion, for I will make thine horn iron, thy power iron, and I will make, and this is in the kingdom, and I will, in the kingdom before the kingdom. Micah 5, we got to go to Micah 5. And I will make thy hoofs, the hoof, brass, and thou shalt beat. This is in the kingdom, right before the kingdom, Micah 5 and 7. It says you're gonna escape from the city, you're gonna go into the field, the wilderness, you're gonna wind up in Babylon, and there you're gonna be delivered. Then you're gonna be in the kingdom. So in the kingdom, we're gonna be kicking much ass. It says, and thou shalt beat in pieces many people, the other nations, and I will consecrate their gain unto Yahweh, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. So we're going to beat the shit out of them, and we're going to take what they got. It speaks about the forces of the Gentiles in matter of fact, let me go to that. Isaiah 60. So we almost out of here, man. You see all the signs happening. Texas is catching hell with them floods. A lot of children got killed. What, about 50? They count as 50 plus. A bunch of them were children. Okay, let me see something. Give me a second. Okay. Right, and the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising, when the kingdom is established. 5th verse, Isaiah 60. Then thou shalt see and flow together. And we read that too. Most High gonna bring us together. He flow us together. And thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The people become rich because of the seas, because of the goods that come from one part of the earth to the other. The Chinese, the ones that succeeded, they're super rich. They're multi-billionaires. Because of what? Because of the seas. Because of the cargo slave ships coming from China, from the east of China to the west of America. Your goods come from California, and then it goes throughout the country, from the west to the east. The forces of the Gentiles, their substance shall come unto thee. So we taking all their shit. 11th verse. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, except for the Sabbath and high holy days. And then the gate of the temple will be open. The gate of the temple will be closed all week. And then the gate of the temple will be open. And the gates where the forces of the Gentiles come in going to be closed. Because the Sabbath, new moons, high holy days, ain't going to be no business. That men may bring unto other nations, may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought, because they're going to come to bow down to us. So you can read this whole chapter. Come back over here. Okay, so I read 4. Okay. So the Most High going to gather us together, going to get beamed up, arise and trash. And once we get beamed up, when we come back down, we're going to beat everybody's asses, and we're going to take what they got. And then they're going to have to go into slavery. It said, O daughter of Zion, for I will make thine horn iron, and I will make this is going to happen, and thy hoofs brass. And thou shalt beat in pieces many people, the nations. And I will, because they're going to try us, and they're going to lose. And I will consecrate their gain unto Yahweh, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. Yahweh of the whole earth. That's why it says, let me come back up over here. It speaks about the mountain, and many nations shall come and say, come and let us. I'm sorry, let me start over here. The mountain. All the other nations are going to be hills. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahweh shall be established in the tops of the mountain. The top of the mountains is what? The top mountain is America, Isaiah 13. So the kingdom is going to be set up on their mountain. And then we're going to become the big mountain, and they're going to become the hills. Now, this is what I wanted to do real quick. Let me go to Isaiah And you can read Micah 5 verse 7. And that Micah 5 and 7 on down is talking about leading up to the kingdom. Because there's going to be riots out here. There's going to be, hey, these ICE people coming around. There's people talking about they're going to go to war with them. Because they ain't trying to go back to Mexico. But the ones that do go back to Mexico, that's a blessing, because guess what? This place is going to be set on fire. So really, Trump is really helping y'all. He's kicking y'all to the land so that the missiles could come. So the Most High gonna have mercy for Israelites that are not even of the elect. So you're gonna see that that's a blessing. You're gonna say, man, what we did when Trump kicked us out, that was a blessing, because he doesn't see that coming down the pike. These Edomites don't see it. Give me a second. Okay, let me go to the Bible Hub. Then I'm going to close. I promise. I want to go to the Bible Hub. Bear me for a minute. Come on now. This ain't opening up like I wanted to. Okay, I think it's opened up. Okay, here we go. Come on now. So I wanted to go to the commentary. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Bridge. Right, they even mentioned Micah 5 in it, but he started at 6. They should have mentioned Revelation chapter 12. Give me a second here. Okay, be in pain, for now shalt thou go forth. Contemporary king of Assyria, see Micah 5 and 6. Really started at 7, started 6. Not that of Babylon, which had in fact been conquered by Tiglath-Pileser and only succeeded to the place. He said, not that Babylon. So we know that the Babylon in Micah 4 is talking about America. But you know what I'm going to do? Let me do this. Let me do it this way. Revelation Give me a second, y'all. Revelation 12. You know, I like to go into them prophecies. We're known for heavy emphasis on prophecies. Wilderness. Okay, the woman fled into the wilderness where she's had place freed from 1,000 years. Into a place. Okay, let's try 14. So I'm going back to the commentary. Almost finished, almost done. I'm surprised Cambridge is not here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Cambridge. 2 wings of the eagle should be to fly. No, they didn't give it. I remember going through this. Let me try this. Okay, it's not there. I remember going through this. Let me do this. Sorry, y'all. Let me try 6. It may just, nope. I went through this a couple of years ago. Give me a second, y'all. Again. It's not in there either. I went somewhere in Cambridge and it sent me right to Micah 4, which is Babylon. So, hey, I'm going to close anyway. But like I said, Micah 4 and 10. Go back to that. Right, this is definitely this Babylon right here is definitely talking about America. So when you read this, you got to go to Revelation, the book of Revelation. Anytime it makes a reference to Babylon, this is what it's talking about. Also, well, it's called the place. The place. Anyway, I just wanted to cover. Since we didn't do it yesterday, I wanted to cover Micah 4. I wanted to cover the whole chapter. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom on to the next shalom.